All America, all the time. Sit down, buckle up, and get ready for The Dan Bongino Show.
Happy President's Day, everybody, and a very special happy President's Day to President Donald J. Trump, who is the president. I tweet about every morning. Someone asked Grok, why does Dan Bongino tweet that every morning? I don't know, folks. I've been doing it for a long time. It was during his first term, 45, President Trump, that is, obviously. Every day they would say, I just said, I don't know. Now I'm telling you why I know. Remember every day, Guy, they would say, he's an illegitimate president. You remember that? So that's how it started. And I don't know, it's just a thing. And it anchors me every morning. And some people just want to know the date. So that's why I put it out. So there you go, Grok. Helps remind people that he is, in fact, the legitimately elected president twice. And also a reminder of the date. So that's why I do that. But happy President's Day to President Trump. And thank you again to the great Graham Allen. Has an amazing show on Rumble at 9 a.m. Eastern time for rating the stream. We always appreciate that. Graham, I love Graham. He's the best. If you haven't checked out his show, please check it out. It's worth your time. Folks, we got a lot to chat about today on the show. It was a huge media weekend. I do some of the show preparation on Friday after the show. And I got to tell you, here, I'll show you. You want to see my notes? This is how messy it is today. You're like, Dan, you make a show out of that? Yes, I do. In case you're wondering, in the margins, that's all the new stuff, which is basically the whole show. So almost everything I did on Friday has now been outdated because it was a massive dump of what was known as the Epstein case files over the weekend. A lot of information is out there now, which is a good thing, has always been a good thing to get more information. However, some of the information you'll see has led to some issues that I don't think a lot of lawmakers had anticipated when they asked for what they asked for. I'll show you what I mean on that. You got a quick update on the Guthrie case. I'll be on Sean Hannity's show tonight if you want to watch, 9 p.m. Eastern time on Fox. Check that out. And also, President Obama back in the news again, not just because his fixer, Catherine Rumler, was in the news on Friday regarding the Epstein files, but his comments on aliens. And Guy said it right this morning. He made a comment on alien life forms, which, rocketed around the internet. And Guy's like, I think he gave a YOLO answer, and now he's had to dial it back. Within the boundaries of what I can talk about, I'll give you my take. Guy's unusually excited about this segment because, Guy, correct, I have not told you, but I'm not trying to clickbait. It's not going to be some X-Files moment, but I think the topic is interesting. And it was interesting to see some other stuff, too, from the other side. All right, a lot to talk about. Big show day. All Family Pharmacy having a President's Day sale. It's live, like right now. 47% off ivermectin. You get that? 47% off ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, mebendazole, GLP-1s. It ends on February 17th. Visit allfamilypharmacy.com/Bongino. That's allfamilypharmacy.com/Bongino. Check them out. Get prepared. Consult a medical professional before taking any medications. And also, Brickhouse Nutrition. You know, they're my favorites. They have a weight loss product called Lean, get lean, Lean. They also have the great Field of Greens, which I take multiple times every day for my superfood vegetable fix. The only way to lose weight is not to inject yourself once a week. Nope, not anymore. Here's the reality. I tried this product. I lost about 28, 30 pounds. Weight loss injections work because they help control blood sugar and they shut down appetite, so you eat less. That's the mechanism. There's really no mystery to it. That's what Lean, Lean, was created to do. Replicate the benefits of weight loss injections without the injections. Lean was formulated by doctors to support healthy blood sugar and help reduce the spikes and crashes that drive nonstop snacking and cravings. That's what's going to put on weight fast. But Lean goes a step further. Lean helps your body turn fat into energy so you burn it instead of storing it. No prescriptions, no needles. It works. I'm proof positive. I've lost some weight. I was getting a little gooey, as I said. I used Lean. I loved it. We use it now. Visit brickhousenutrition.com/Dan. Use promo code Dan to get 20% off. Do the mirror test. Take a snapshot in the mirror. Come back in a couple months after using Lean. brickhousenutrition.com/Dan. Pick up Lean today. Use promo code Dan. brickhousenutrition.com/Dan. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. It's not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. It's not a substitute for or alternative for care from a healthcare provider. Guy, let's go. Now, you saw a massive dump of what's known as the Epstein case file this weekend. This is almost unprecedented in American history, letting this information out there. There's going to be a lot of strong opinions on it. Good. That is the best part of living in a constitutional republic, that this stuff is not hidden. There's a lot of curiosity about this case over time, me included, for obvious reasons. It involves a disturbing set of circumstances, a lot of very wealthy people who interacted with them. However, there is process in this country. There is a process because innocent people are entitled to a trial until they are proven guilty. And therefore, we don't typically do this. However, given the interest in the case, I think on net, positives and negatives, it is a net positive that you're able to look at this and see this so we can you can see what happened behind the scenes. Here's what I mean. Now, do you understand, though, however, given the Epstein Files Transparency Act, why this thing and the writing of it was done so poorly? I'll put up the New York Post article first, and then I'll put up this tweet, and it'll make more sense. Here's a New York Post article about what happened when redactions aren't done correctly. The law there was no context provided for a lot of these redactions. So now you see this. California lawmakers' Epstein bombshell outs 4 random guys with no connection to sick billionaire pedophile. These were 4 guys who were just in a photo lineup. In other words, they were just asked to participate in a photo lineup. That's how it works. Those of you with law enforcement, let me look in the chat. Those of you with, refresh there. Those of you in the chat who are in law enforcement, you know how this works. You pick people for a photo lineup. Sometimes you pay them. They're not in any way associated with the case. If you have a suspect, you pick that suspect and whatever, 5 or 6 others who look close to the suspect. You may pay them for the day, whatever. They have nothing to do with the case at all. That's why there was a back and forth. I feel like I owe you context on this, having lived through this thing and having dedicated hundreds, upwards of close to 1,000 people between FBI and DOJ into getting the information out there and fighting for that. It was like a big public spectacle. I mean, everybody remembers. But now do the emails make sense? Why day one in office, me that is, March 17th. You can see the emails yourself. People are forwarding me emails on what this redaction process looks like. This is why. Because some of these people were in there. Here's another example of why a redaction process, this is unrelated to the Transparency Act legislation. There was material in the file that was downloaded from the internet. It was not produced by Epstein or anyone in that Epstein. It was not, I don't know how to describe it, like original material. It was downloaded pornography from the internet, whatever, porn.com or whatever websites, who knows what they were. It was just downloaded porn. There was a lot of it. You can't put that out there. You can't say, hey, go to whatever, FBI.gov, and you can watch thousands of hours of downloaded porn that he watched. Nobody's going to do that, especially when some of it was CSAM, child sexual abuse material downloaded, like child pornography. You're not going to put that on a government website. That's why there was a redaction process. Now, of course, when you get people who want to hurt President Trump and the administration, they take these facts about the case, that there was always going to be a redactions process up until the Epstein File Transparency Act. I think the poorly written legislation didn't provide like a proper context for this stuff. There was always going to be a process for this, always. I want to know what it was day one. How does this look? And you see people asking for guidance on how legally this was to be handled. You get people who take this stuff and work with a class of people with an agenda, and they're using it now almost exclusively as a political weapon to attack him. President Trump, that is, despite his administration finally getting this stuff out there. It made me think of this weekend. I saw this. I just want to remember, now does the email make sense? Why I'm looking at, hey, what's the process for this? What's the process for that? What do we do with downloaded material? What do we do with this stuff? What about guys in photo lineups? Like, what about all that? That's what's going on there from day one. That's how committed to getting this stuff out there everybody was. Reminded me of this. Remember Yuri Bezmenov? Yuri Bezmenov was a KGB defector. Back decades ago, he gave this interview. We played it many times. Bezmenov talks about how the United States will never be destroyed from the outside in, ever. It will not be on our watch. Our military men and women, our operation out there is peerless in the axiomatic definition of the word. We have no military peer. We will not be defeated from the outside. So enemies of the United States, he's talking about Russia, he's former KGB, but the CCP and others figured out a long time ago, and then don't let me forget the Mike Davis tweet, guys. I'm going to get to, I didn't want to talk past that. But this is Bezmenov talking about how when you overload, this is what's happening now. Pay close attention to this next part. This is really important. What's happening now is people are overloading you with information, but underwhelming you with facts. And what happens is it clouds the space and you can't filter through relevant information or not. The essence of a criminal investigation is taking a massive swimming pool of information and finding that penny at the bottom of the pool. You look everywhere, you're never going to find it. You put on a set of goggles and you look down, you see a little copper spot at the bottom. Oh, now I know to look right there. You can't look everywhere at once because a lot of information is irrelevant. In other words, Guy has a bank account in a bank. The bank gets robbed. I can show Guy was at that bank at 8 in the morning. If I say to you, Guy was at the bank the day it was robbed, that's information. You think, oh my gosh, that seems relevant. Guy could have robbed the bank. Then you find out the bank was robbed at noon. There's video of someone else. He's 7 feet tall. It doesn't look like Guy. So the fact that Guy was at the bank is information, but it's not evidence. Overwhelmed with information, underwhelmed with evidence. That's what's happening here. That's how you isolate and use a political weapon. Here's Bezmenov talking about exactly this concept. Folks, bookmark this sucker. Check this out.
Exposure to true information does not matter anymore. A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him. Even if I shower him with information, with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures, even if I take him by force to the Soviet Union and show him concentration camp, he will refuse to believe it until he is going to receive a kick in his fat bottom. When a military boot crashes then he will understand, but not before that. That's the tragic of the situation of demoralization.
Listen, I told you 1,000 times, I'm going to tell you 1,001. There are no heroes in this story. I get it. I understand. I am deeply concerned about this case. Always have been. Just go back and watch my shows on it. That's why we're talking about it the 4th time now on the show. And I feel an obligation, having lived through this thing behind the scenes, to do my best to provide some color commentary on what actually went on. If it helps, it helps. If it doesn't. But ladies and gentlemen, I'll say again, there are no heroes in this story at all. Don't put people on a pedestal. Me included. I'm not telling you, oh, look, Dan, hey, I did it. Look at me. I saved the day. No, bullshit. I'm not telling you any of that at all. This is a disturbing case with a bunch of level 10 decisions where there's a shitty decision and a shittier one. Do we redact these 4 guys in a lineup knowing people are going to speculate about, gosh, who were these 4 guys? Were they part of this ring? Were they part of a cabal of people? Or don't redact them and then, innocent people get outed. These were the decisions that had to be dealt with every day. Shitty decisions and shittier ones. That's what President Trump has to deal with every single day of his life, and everyone else at that principal level. Everyone. Mike Davis, I can't tell you about this tweet enough because it describes everything. But this is an early tweet, by the way. Mike was on this from the start. This guy's a fantastic lawyer. Mike Davis nailed this from the beginning about what the problems were going to be on the case. If anyone wants kind of a rational, reason-based approach, put that tweet up. I thought that was a hint, the Mike Davis tweet. He says, here's the problem with the Epstein mess. The FBI doesn't have the evidence many thought it did. You can see the emails on that when we're querying, hey, is there an uncharged third party here? There are not tapes with powerful men raping kids. There is not a list. Epstein's Rolodex is already public. The file is largely unreleasable for many reasons, including grand jury materials, correct, 6E material, court records under seal, was correct, child pornography and pornography in general, I explained that. Victims who need to be protected, they don't want their names out there. and unsubstantiated, even double or triple hearsay and some bogus claims, which would permanently destroy the reputation of innocent people if released. That's it. Summed up. That's how it goes. Mike nailed it early on. It's a busy news weekend, like I said. I was driving down, had a thing to do this weekend, spent a lot of car time, and wound up putting together like a massive show. And then boom, all this stuff comes out. I said, Paula, I got to rewrite the whole show. So a lot happened this weekend too. I just want to give you a quick update again on the Guthrie situation. I know it's wall-to-wall on news, fully understand. If you want to watch it again, I'll be on Hannity tonight live. I'll be discussing it a little bit. It's available on cable news. We have not dedicated an enormous amount of time to it, but I do, having lived through a lot of these big high-profile cases, there are just a couple things pay attention to in the coming hours and days on this. Folks, the DNA that was found inside the house and the DNA on the glove. 3 things about DNA in this case, okay? There are 3 possible ways to hit on this. If this DNA turns out to be a suspect in the case and they have a prior sample, remember, they took swabs, buccal swabs from some people who surrounded the family, gardeners, apparently housekeepers or whatever it may be. Small chance it was an inside job, but there's a possibility of a direct connection there. So there's option 1. Possibility, however, limited, but I feel obligated to mention it. Second, you have this CODIS system that's been brought up often. In many municipalities, state, local, territorial, law enforcement agencies, the Fed, you'll take a DNA sample from someone when they're arrested for a crime. It'll go into this CODIS system. They may get a hit there. That's the second way, if this sample turns out to be viable. The third way is this investigative genealogy. And a lot of you may say, well, I never gave my DNA to one of these companies, it was like the 23andMe type companies that do this type of stuff, right? Whether you gave it or not, it doesn't matter. If a family member did, it can help limit the pool. That takes a little longer. And remember, these are all probabilities. They never say with DNA, this is definitely, 100%, well, I shouldn't say, but they use probabilities. I'll leave it at that. So there's another way. So there's 3 possible ways. And then the second thing is, again, without giving up too much here, the purchase history is cross-referenced. I heard a couple of commentators, and they're not wrong, say, well, the backpack, the ski mask, the holster, all this other stuff. But, what have you paid in cash or all this other stuff? Folks, what you do with stuff like that, which we did in a number of high-profile cases, is you cross-reference stuff. So, say the guy who bought the bag is 1 in 25. And then a similar matching guy bought the holster. And then another similar matching guy. Now you've got 3 pieces of data you can cross-reference, and that can help isolate stuff down. So enough on that. You're going to get a ton of it. And, by the way, sorry, I didn't mean to miss this too. On the Epstein thing as well, there are a lot of people mentioning there. I always got kind of annoyed that people didn't give us, the opportunity to get out and explain before they had jumped to conclusions. I don't jump to conclusions on anyone. But if you're Bill Clinton, Reid Hoffman, Bannon or others out there, then I'm not jumping to conclusions on anything. However, I've spent 4 shows now explaining what we did and why. It's up to you. If you agree with it, don't agree with it, like it or don't. It's fair game. I'm fair game, was a public figure. But people called for transparency, and now you got it. So, now it's your turn. So this happened this weekend, too. And I got to tell you, I really strongly debated discussing this. Obama on aliens. I'm going to tell you why. For those of you in the chat right now, is this a yes or do you want me to address this or not? Y for yes and N for no. This Obama talking about aliens thing? Because all right. I know I drink funny. I told you I got arthritis in my elbow. What is going on? Hold on a second. What's that? I know. It's weird. This iPad thing. We just got this iPad. It's all messed up. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yes. Guy, what do you think? Is it a yes or a no? What do you guys? Is it a yes? Big yeses. Okay. So let's play the clip first. Again, I'm only bringing it up. This is not like podcast show clickbait. The guy was the president of the United States for 2 terms, Barack Obama, and he decided, well, he didn't decide, forgive me, accuracy matters. He did not decide a podcast host brought it up to him, and he answered the question, so I guess it's fair game, right? This is Obama on Alien Live. Went all over the internet. It's been all over the news this morning. Check this out.
Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in, what is it?
Area 51?
Area 51. There's no underground facility unless there's this enormous conspiracy, and they hid it from the President of the United States.
What was the first question you wanted answered when you became president?
Where are the aliens?
Well, I'm going to tell you something. I had curiosity about a lot of things when I got in there. The pipe bomber, aliens, the Epstein files, J6, everything. And it was like drinking from a fire hose. I'm coming from the private sector. I've been out of law enforcement for a while. I come in there as a change agent. I had a year to get these things done. I was on a rush time scale. I had one of these questions too. And it turns out we do have teams in there that look at this type of stuff. I wouldn't say aliens. They're looking more at unidentified aerial phenomenon, obviously because of the national security threat. By the way, Justin, you want to wave to the camera? Justin's fixing the iPad there. That is Justin's hand with it. Justin, by the way, is always cold. For some bizarre reason, I'm sitting here in a Nicole Wallace approved t-shirt, and Justin is in like Han Solo Arctic gear. He's waiting for what was the thing they cut open and they put Luke in there? Was that a tauntaun or something? That's for Guy. Justin's going to have to get like inserted into a tauntaun because he's so freaking cool. Look at him with his arrow. Perfect, because that arrow, we know that. All right, Justin, thank you very much for fixing it. Yeah, you can walk if it's okay. It's a podcast. We're allowed to do that stuff. So Obama on aliens. He's basically saying there's no like hidden stash of aliens coming out that we have in the thing, but but like he's suspicious that there may be alien life. I have to be a little bit delicate here, but I don't want to stir up a bunch of stuff either, like Obama did, and it became such a controversial thing. Did you see his tweet? Can you put it up, guys? He put out a tweet afterwards saying to clear this thing up because this thing rocketed around the globe. And I think he was like afraid people are going to start doing a War of the Worlds thing and freaking out. So he put out some tweet like, I have not seen direct evidence of aliens. Here is my take. And I think it's a valuable one because when you're at the FBI has a role in Overwatch. So almost every classified program in the government run by whether it's Department of War or elsewhere, the FBI provides Overwatch. We make sure it's not spied on. Does that make sense? It's really important people know this. You say, well, how would the FBI know about all this stuff? They're not, the space aliens guys. No, we're not. We're not at all. But they provide Overwatch for everything. So like Golden Dome, for example, like that's, the airspace protection program. We provide the Overwatch. We make sure nobody's spying on it. How they do that is not for public consumption. So we're aware of just about everything. So I think Obama's answer is actually accurate. Like, oh my gosh, an Obama section. I say it's accurate because I can just tell you at my level, I did not see any evidence of alien life forms on Earth. I did not see that. So I think Obama's statement is fairly accurate on that. Again, I want to be clear on this for those out there, because this is always going to generate a ton of traffic and you get a lot of hate mail about it, which I'm used to, I promise. Then you get a lot of, here's what I'm not telling you. The absence of evidence isn't the evidence of absence. I'm not telling you this, it absolutely doesn't exist no matter what. I know everything. I'm just telling you, I didn't see anything. And Obama's saying, well, they didn't hide it from me. If they hid it from me too, that'd be pretty amazing because we provide the Overwatch for everything. However, there are a lot of things that happen that are suspicious in our skies. However, again, this is the important point. A lot of the stuff, and I hope this grounds a lot of the conversation and helps going forward. A lot of the stuff you've seen on cable news and Twitter and elsewhere, the videos are perfectly explainable. Not all, but a good chunk of stuff you see on social media is absolutely explainable. And when you see the explanation up close and personal, and me, I'm always, a skeptic. It's fairly obvious a lot of this stuff is, everything from Mylar balloons to parallax issues to measurement problems to cameras that were just not made to do that kind of stuff. That was my perspective on it too. So I'm just throwing that in because that thing tore up the internet this weekend. I don't want mass hysteria to break out. There's going to be an alien invasion. I think did you find that tweet yet from Obama? Oh, maybe, I don't know, but someone said something, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm just imagining it too. But I think he thought like this was going to create some crazy War of the World scenario. Everybody was going to start panicking. We're all going to die, Reverend Cain style. So he had to dial that back a little bit. There's my 2 cents on it. All right, quick break, and I want to get to a real problem you need to worry about, which is the surveillance state. Again, this body of experience provided me with a lot of tidbits of information to put out on the show. Some I can, some I can't. But one of them I think you really need to be concerned. Oh, you did? Oh, okay. All right. So I'm not crazy. I thought I was imagining things. Throw that up there. But yeah, I was trying to stick with the spirit of the speed round, but it's gotten attention. Let me clarify. He talks about the odds are good for alien life, but the distances are great. The chances are that the chances we've been visited by aliens is low. I saw no evidence during my presidency that extraterrestrials have made contact with us. Excuse me. There you go. So had to correct that. One thing you do need to be concerned about, and I don't need to speculate on, is, ladies and gentlemen, technology is exploding right now. AI, CRISPR technology, cancer technology, medical technology, material science, like I told you, the conduction of electricity to almost zero resistance. We are in the middle of a massive economic revolution. Great, awesome. However, everything is spreadsheets. Good side, bad side, net present value, positive or negative. The downside to this is the surveillance tech out there right now. Your privacy is cooked. I was very concerned about this during my time in government. Did everything we could to enhance the guardrails against the government using this stuff. But I'm telling you, the tech out there is exploding. I'm going to play for you this Bill Gates video and a New York Times piece about you being watched in just about everything you do, whether you know it or not. I'm just telling you so you have the information in your hands and you do what you want with it. Quick break, I'll get to that. But that's something you definitely be concerned about. You should definitely be concerned about. As I said, a lot of things opened my eyes over the past year. It's been a lot of infighting going on our side, folks. I thought we all agreed on freedom of speech, the right to life, Second Amendment, supporting our military and first responders. Stay focused on these things. We got midterms coming up. It's really important for us as a conservative movement to stay latched to those conservative ideas. And there's one company who's been fighting for our rights, that supported this program from the very beginning, and that's Patriot Mobile. Unlike other mobile providers, Patriot Mobile works on all 3 major networks. In fact, you can be on multiple networks on the same phone. More importantly, their customers enjoy priority service with the same or better quality as their old providers. We love Patriot Mobile here in the Bongino team. Patriot Mobile's 100% U.S.-based customer service team. They make switching fast and really easy. Their customer service is incredible. Keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade. Here's how you get it. Go to patriotmobile.com/Dan and get a free month of service with the offer code Dan. Company's been fighting for the things we all believe in for over a decade. Thank them by making the switch today. patriotmobile.com/Dan. Go to patriotmobile.com/Dan. Thank you, Patriot Mobile. Absolutely love having you on the show. Really appreciate it. And our 66,265 people watching right now. Love it too. Our next sponsor today, here it is. Blackout Coffee. You may be thinking, wow, that was cool. They sent you a bag with it. No, this is the Bongino Army Blackout Coffee bag John put together for you guys. I want to tell you about something we actually built together with a company I love, Blackout Coffee. Their cold brew is amazing. Longtime listeners already know this. I've called Blackout Coffee the official coffee of the Bongino Army for years. Now we made it official with a collaboration roast. Bold coffee taste, never bitter. We love us some Blackout Coffee in the studio. It's everywhere. For those of you who visited the studio, this place is papered in black. It's like wallpaper here. We have it everywhere. This is a Bongino Army roast. It's medium dark roasted for bold flavor and a heavy body. Sounds like exactly the type of coffee we want. Then amped with a little extra caffeine. That's why I'm always so excited on the show. Strong without being bitter, powerful without compromise. It's the best coffee in the market right now. And let me be clear about this. I don't put my name on things lightly. I think you know that. I drink this coffee every day. I have a warm cup in the morning, cold brew later. If it didn't meet my standards, it would not exist, period. Blackout Coffee is American-owned, roasted right here in the USA. No corporate wokeness, just quality and values that actually align with the Bongino Show audience. So go to blackoutcoffee.com/Bongino. Get 20% off your first order when you use code Bongino. That's blackoutcoffee.com/Bongino. Code Bongino for 20% off. Pick it up today. Okay, so here is a real problem I can put my stamp of disapproval on: the surveillance state and technology, and how a new administration, folks, at any time, remember, people or policy can implement this stuff. That's why I always kind of like scoff when people go, oh, do you think, you fixed the FBI? No, folks, there's no fixing human institutions. There's putting in guardrails to prevent humans from doing human things and bad things. But the only fix is strong, rigorous guardrails and making sure other people don't ditch them. The surveillance state scares the shit out of me. Here's why. Here's a clip of Bill Gates talking about basically how in India and other countries, they've implemented these surveillance state measures for everything from like government benefits on, and how this technology is going to make this really hard to escape from in the future. Think digital currencies, digital IDs. They're going to know everything you do. You buy a gun with a digital currency and present a digital ID. You don't think the government's going to be storing that somewhere? You want them knowing that about you? I don't. Check this out. Yeah, Bill Gates, sorry.
Another place that India leads, but there's a lot more that all of you can be involved in driving forward, is this digital public infrastructure. No country is more able to take government benefits and get them out efficiently and effectively to their citizens than India. You would have expected rich countries or others to do that, but in fact, they did not. And so that basic structure that starts with identity and bank accounts and payments is just foundational. And as part of this visit, I'm now seeing how that foundation is being built out in agriculture with profiles of farmers to understand what they need and give them advice, built out with health records so that we can help people not only with infectious diseases, but the challenge that's coming in the future with the growth of the non-communicable diseases being a huge thing. And that digital public infrastructure will help us with these climate problems.
Listen, regardless of your feelings about Bill Gates, and I know many of them are strong, justifiably so, the man is not kidding. This is going to be a big issue going forward. Digital currencies and digital IDs. I really hope it's not inevitable. The problem is you've got this efficiency movement on the conservative right, which I understand, and I'm all for government efficiency. But I don't want it to bleed into heavy tech interfaces where tech companies wind up getting contracts with the government to make things, quote, more efficient that require you to give over more information they can use AI to analyze. Here's what I mean with that. Information is basically going to destroy your privacy if you're getting any government benefit in the future at all. And you may say, well, that's not me. Really? What about Social Security? That's almost everyone. I see this path, I hope is not inevitable, that you're going to be required to turn over a bunch of information to get those benefits, not just bank records and routing numbers, but other things that are going to be used later on to potentially track you in a situation if the wrong people are in charge and they wanted to aggregate data and find out who the supporters are, they're going to know. Do you get what I'm saying? Government benefits, well, give us this. You don't give us this, no benefits. That scares the hell out of me. Think about all the farmers out there that get some kind of, government benefit for their crops. What else? What are you going to have to give over? You think it's just going to be your crop yields and everything else? This is a frightening, not so brave new world. Also, this aggregation of information and AI, again, there's a great economic growth is going to be, I think, insane over the next few years from this stuff. Positives, negatives. We got to think about this in a real world, logical way. This information is going to destroy things like the insurance industry that work on probabilities. Is Dan Bongino going to get cancer again? I don't know. He had cancer before. It's been 5 years. What does he eat? Does they smoke? We took a blood test, all this stuff. When you put that information in AI moving forward, there's not going to be a probability. It'll almost be like a certainty. They'll have your gene code through a blood sample and everything. It'll be like, yes, Dan Bongino is going to, God forbid, I don't want to knock on wood, but you in 10 years, you're going to get cancer again, okay? Then that's not insurance anymore. So government redistribution through benefits is going to be handled in a totally different business, and the private sector is going to be completely disrupted. How do you have an insurance industry when AI is analyzing a farmer's yield and says next year that guy, he's definitely not going to get a good corn crop or whatever. Here's why. We aggregated all the data. How does the insurance company pay? How does the government, what does the government do? Folks, we are in for a major disruption. And I would say if there are two takeaways in this segment, fight with all of your heart and passion to put guardrails on the government and do not forfeit your liberty for this stuff. Be careful of calls. I can't say this enough. To have FBI, DEA, or anyone else probing the internet at all times for your information. Stuff, unfortunately, sadly, tragically gets missed. But the price of liberty is exactly that we're living in a chance. We don't want a world where nothing is chance anymore. You want to stop all crime? There's no chance of you getting mugged ever? We can do that. Everyone at all times wear an ankle bracelet. You want that? I sure as hell don't. So be careful of digital IDs. Digital IDs are an absolute disaster. Government digital IDs. You want to do one in the private sector? People use Apple Wallet and all. That's up to you. Like I said, I use some technologies myself, but that's a choice. Government mandated digital IDs, big no. Digital currency, hell to the no digital currency. You don't think the government will have like a blockchain, interest in information and find out every single purchase history you made? That is an absolute disaster. No chance. You need leaders going forward here too. We need leaders to lead on this because it's going to lead to a bunch of level 10 decisions moving forward. Folks, people are policy. People are always policy. Again, people ask all the time, you think this is fixed? That's fixed. The price of liberty is eternal vigilance, as has been said often. Eternal vigilance. Governments are run by human beings who can always do stupid stuff despite policy. Look at Crossfire Hurricane. You have to institute guardrails and fidelity to a constitutional process. But I know now we're like, well, digital IDs and digital currency, that'll never happen here. Are you sure? You get stupid people in charge. You'll see this stuff will change in a heartbeat. We'll all be watched all the time. You have this conflict of visions moving forward. We've got this MAGA movement that I think, and the one I'm part of, the conservatarian wing of it, was very concerned about this stuff. You also got some people on the Bernie Sanders left. And then you have morons. Leaders going forward are going to be, they're everything. People are policy. I saw it. Here's what we got. Here's what I'm talking about now. So you saw the Munich Security Conference. It's become a really important event since the speeches by prominent U.S. political folks over there in the past. You saw the contrast of visions. Do you want some of these morons in charge with this surveillance technology and all these advanced weapons moving forward? Hell no. Here's what I mean. Here was AOC. This woman is likely going to run for president. When we did that dumbest person with Jim, was she number one? She either won it one year. She was either the gold or the silver medal as the dumbest member. Listen, that's just crowdsourcing information. AOC is clearly not bright, okay? Clearly. She goes over there and decides she's going to burnish her foreign policy credentials. This is the same woman in that infamous Margaret Hoover video when she was asked about, was it the situation in the Middle East? Was like, I don't really know much about it. You're freaking in Congress. It's like your job to know about that queer quote stuff, you know? Here she is over at Munich. Listen to this quick word salad of an answer. I'm going to contrast it with a portion of the Rubio speech, Marco Rubio, who's just been tearing it up as the everything man in the administration. Secretary of State, and seemingly every other position too. Marco Rubio's speech, and you'll see why. We got to be really careful going forward who we put in charge. You get the wrong people with these tools, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. Check this out.
What we identify is that in a rules-based order, hypocrisy is vulnerability. And so I think what we are seeking is a return to a rules-based order that eliminates the hypocrisies around when too often in the West we look the other way for inconvenient populations to act out these paradoxes.
Where's Andrew? Andrew, did you take the SAT? Andrew's first official day on the job. You did, okay. This reminds me of someone who took an SAT prep course. Josh, you took the SAT too, right? You saw the AOC clip, correct? This is what this reminds me of. They both popped out of the office here. They're drinking their blackout coffee. This reminds me of someone who got one of those like Barron's SAT preps with all the fancy words on the vocabulary portion of the SAT exam, right? And they then were like, wow, I just learned this today. Let me go out and try to sound really smart and use this in a sentence. And she uses them all at the same time. The decusation of the paradoxation of the illumination of the idea portion of the component of the exercise. And she's like, what did you say? Can you just explain in plain English what you just said? She don't even know what she just said. This is clearly someone trying. When you're trying to sound smart, what do I say? Guy, what's the golden rule? You guys, Andrew, this is a pop quiz for you too. You need to have golden rules to the show. It's day one. I know you don't know them yet, but if you're citing your education, what does that typically mean? Folks in the chat. You're probably a moron. Nobody gives a shit. You got to know that rule. Write it down. Guy, did you know that rule? Justin knows the rule too. So does Jim. You are probably a moron. You guys got that? Take notes. Okay, good. That's AOC. All right, listen, the show's we're trying to be entertaining and educational at the same time. However, there's a serious component to this, not mess around. You really want this woman in charge, tying it to the Bill Gates section. If she were president of the United States, or say she runs for Senate in New York, becomes the Senate majority leader if they take back the Senate at some point. You want her in charge of digital IDs, a digital currency, surveillance technology, no-touch malware where they can spy on you in your phone if you don't even click on anything. You want her in charge? Are you kidding me? Or do you want a guy like a Marco Rubio who has been tearing it up as Secretary of State? Here's a speech he gave overseas. He mixed diplomacy with strength, carrots and sticks, where he's basically telling the folks over in the European Union, hey, man, we're not going to be the world's policemen anymore. We have shared values, which we do. It is good to have you as allies. However, you better get your shit together with regards to defense spending because we're not going to be the police officer for the entire world anymore. Check this out.
But the euphoria of this triumph led us to a dangerous delusion that we had entered, quote, the end of history, that every nation would now be a liberal democracy, that the ties formed by trade and by commerce alone would now replace nationhood, that the rules-based global order, an overused term, would now replace the national interest, and that we would now live in a world without borders where everyone became a citizen of the world. This was a foolish idea that ignored both human nature and it ignored the lessons of over 5,000 years of recorded human history.
Folks, listen, I'm really getting kind of annoyed at the freaking Wall Street Journal too. I use their stuff all the time, but they've gotten so pompous and holier than thou. It's really getting exhausting now. I told you, they referenced President Trump on my podcast and didn't even credit it. We always do that, which, forget that for a moment. But they took a veiled shot at Rubio. They wrote this article oh yeah, it was really great speech, but he didn't invent any new ideas. No shit, he didn't invent any new ideas. That's the whole idea of conservatism, is conserving old ideas. I mean, what a stupid thing to say. It was a great speech because it illuminated timeless, old but good and effective ideas like the wheel and fire, which were good ideas, in a new way. in a way that made it so effective that as he basically told the Europeans, get your shit together, they even got up and gave him a standing ovation. Like, hey, maybe we need to get our shit together. My gosh, they got to really over there, like, get your heads out of your asses over there. I know you guys probably listened to the show. You had to. You cited it. But you don't have to be on your high horse all the time. Just give the guy a pat on the back. Nice speech. We appreciate it. Great way to make old ideas seem fresh again without having to take a pot shot. That conference, however, folks, a lot happened. I'm going to switch gears in a second to a different topic, which is, again, equally important. The Democrats' absolute bullshit when it comes to this great replacement theory stuff. This is their theory. I hate that we got to do this again with the SAVE Act, but it's going to get done. But I just want to end with this on Munich. Hillary Clinton said some things too. She's starting to see this is not in any way a pat on the back for Hillary Clinton, period. But her and her shady husband have always been lick the finger and see where the political winds go. They will change their mind on anything in a second. Hillary Clinton started talking about, which shocked a lot of people over there, how they've gone too far, the Democrat Party, on immigration and open borders. You may say, wow, look at her seeing the light. You don't see the light. She's up to something. She's always up to something. But she definitely, the something she's up to is even the Clintons are starting to see that the AOC wing of the party is going to lead to their absolute destruction. Listen, I'm going to tell you here, I'm speculating, okay? Speculation, it's an opinion show. I'm allowed to have one too, but it's only fair to tell you. I don't have any inside information on this. I'm not a Democrat. Rahm Emanuel, who is the tip of the spear Clintonista, former mayor of Chicago, chief of staff, insider for Clinton forever. Rahm Emanuel seems to be preparing for some kind of presidential run. The Clintons may see him as a vehicle back in government. And if you read the op-eds he's written for the Wall Street Journal, Rahm Emanuel in the moderate right Wall Street Journal, it appears Emanuel is starting to try to carve out a center lane away from the liberal lunatics. And I think that may have something to do with what's going on with the Clintons all of a sudden turn on the immigration issue. And I turn, if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, I have the air quote symbol up there. Because the Clintons don't turn on anything unless there's something in it for them. Fact. All right, I got a lot to get to here too, including the SAVE Act. Folks, it pains me to have to constantly do this, but this is the show where we are always going to bust through the bullshit. I'm going to give you the truth, man. If it reflects great on me or someone else, fantastic. If it doesn't, good too. We've talked about all this stuff. I'm an open book, was a public servant, back in the space. Either way, being a public figure, I'm open for criticism like everyone else. But I am going to give you the upside and the downside. And I'm really exhausted with the Democrats' bullshit on this great replacement theory. And a lot of Republicans are starting to fight back on this, but not enough. This is bullshit. The SAVE Act, which is going to be a national referendum on basically voter ID, which would save us from election cheating on a mass scale. It's not going to stop all cheating. It's going to stop a lot of it. And the Democrats don't want it. So they're doing what they always do. They're playing the race card yet again with this great replacement theory. Now, if you're not a regular listener to my show, but you're here today, it's President's Day. You're joining the 73,400 people here. Yeah, okay, I'm tuning in. What's the SAVE Act? What's great replacement theory? Great replacement theory is a Democrat thing they try to pin on the Republican Party. Here's how these things, so I'm going to tie three things together. How are the SAVE Act, busting the filibuster, and the great replacement theory all related? I promise after this segment, it's all going to make sense. Voter integrity, getting rid of the filibuster, and great replacement theory. Let's start from the beginning here. So, We started some controversy last week on the show, unintentionally. We had Senator Tommy Tuberville on, Congressman Brandon Gill last week. We have John Solomon, who's supposed to be today, but we had a little mix-up, so we're going to reschedule him for tomorrow. No big deal. We had them on last week, and we addressed busting the filibuster. To be clear, the filibuster in the Senate, it's a 60-vote threshold in the Senate. The House of Representatives is a majority. I understand you know basic civics. However, there are a lot of liberals listening and media people who've heard this for the first time. You need to cross the 60-vote threshold, not just 51 or 50 plus the vice president as a tiebreaker in the Senate. Ladies and gentlemen, the Democrats are going to bust the filibuster and make it a majority. They are. They are, because they've said it. I'm going to show you this coming up in a minute. They've already said it. There is no doubt. We need the SAVE Act now, because how is this tied into this great replacement theory? The Democrats have been pushing a demographic destiny strategy for a long time, which is to import new voters. They're going to tie, oh, that's racist to even say that. You said it, dipshits. I'm going to prove it to you in a minute. Here was a chart that got a lot of attention this weekend. Hat tip at Jonathan Pallison. Forgive me if I'm saying the name wrong. It appears he's using DHS data on this. Look at this. The percentage of the home population of countries the United States has taken in. You have ranges here from 4 to 8% of the entire home population. Guatemala, Venezuela, Honduras, Haiti, Cuba, Nicaragua. What? We have taken in from 4 to 8% the entire home population of these countries? That is insane. You can't run a country like that. Now you want to talk about the great replacement theory? This is the Democrats' theory. Why would we take in 4 to 8% of some of these countries' population? Many overwhelming numbers, unvetted, walking across an open border. Why would we do that? Don't listen to me. Don't listen to the Democrats talk about it themselves. Here are the Democrats talking about shifting the demographics of the country and making voter outcomes their destiny by getting people into the country they think will create a large Democrat majority moving forward in the future. These are Democrats talking about this and fake, phony Republicans. Check this out.
It's harder and harder to ignore that the echoes of replacement theory and other racially motivated views are increasingly coming out into the open.
African communities, Asian communities, Hispanic communities, and the wave still continues. It's not going to stop, nor should we want it to stop.
In a few years, we're going to be a majority brown country. White people will not be the majority in the country anymore.
In 2044, everyone is going to be a minority.
Folks like me who are Caucasian of European descent, for the first time in 2017, will be in an absolute minority in the United States of America. Absolute minority.
As the demographics change, as white people become the minority in the country, which is coming.
Demographics is destiny. Demographics is destiny.
Demographics is destiny, right? The country is changing.
An unrelenting stream of immigration. Non-stop. Non-stop.
Folks, those are Democrats. Please do not fall prey to the fear tactics that I'm going to call you a racist. I'm sorry, I should have finished my sentence. I do that all the time. Forgive me, big broadcasting mistake. Don't fall prey to the Democrat tactic of trying to instill fear in you for bringing up the obvious. That the Democrats, for decades now, from Joe Biden when he was a senator in Delaware to Chuck Schumer when he was a congressman in New York and senator elsewhere, they have been talking about changing the demographics of the country for electoral advantage forever. It's on video. It's on tape. It's on digital recording. I just played it for you. And by the way, Guy had to do some jump cuts and cut that out. The other one we played when we used to do it on the radio with Jim, seriously, is like 2 minutes longer. And it could go on for 10 minutes. They have been talking about this forever. Why are we're supposed to forget it? Do not be intimidated. It does not make you anything even remotely close to a racist or anything like that to bring up the fact that importing 4 to 8% of an entire country's population unvetted, while Democrats want to put these folks on government benefits, push them through ballot harvesting and elsewhere to get them on voter rolls, and they don't want voter ID. Yes, notice the whole thing. Don't fall for their bullshit. Now do you see why busting the filibuster first before the Democrats do it to get the SAVE Act passed, which they don't have the votes to bust the overcome the filibuster hurdle. Now do you see why the SAVE Act is so important? They've told you what they want. Folks, they've written articles about it. This is the New York Times. Many of you in the chat, you remember this article? Folks in the chat, who remembers this? New York Times, quote, Michelle Goldberg, we can replace them. They're actually writing articles about replacing you. And then when you bring it up, they're like, oh my God, replacing voters with a new crop of voters who we can manipulate through government benefits? How dare you bring that up? You're racist. You're full of shit. You brought it up. You're just mad that we noticed it. Why am I bringing this up this week? The demographic destiny, great replacement theory, because it's the same thing. It's a Democrat thing. Because here it is again, Capitol Hill. You got a hearing for this appointee, Jeremy Carl. He's up there on Capitol Hill listening to this fraud clown of a senator, Cory Booker, the guy who ran for president and got his butt kicked. Here's Cory Booker, again, attacking this guy for bringing up the obvious that the Democrats are obsessed with replacing us. They've written articles about it. Don't ever cave to these people for a second. And this guy doesn't. Check this out.
What do you mean when you say that you believe in the great replacement theory?
Senator, thank you for that question. This refers to the intentional demographic replacement of Europeans in Europe. It was invented by Renaud Camus, who was a French scholar.
You think there's an active effort to, quote unquote, replace Americans right now?
Senator, I think the Democratic Party, through its immigration policies, has certainly shown signs of that.
And I don't understand that. So you are saying that if more Americans are Black or Latino Americans, that somehow weakens America because it puts whites in a minority?
No, jerkwad, you're saying it. Your Democrat friends are saying it. I just played the freaking cut. This is all you guys talk about. This is why they don't want the SAVE Act and why we need to bust the filibuster in advance. They're going to do it anyway. You get the SAVE Act, voter ID, citizenship measures in place, and everything else. This is what you stop, a mass influx of potential illegal voters into the country on the government dime. The demographic destiny argument is theirs. By the way, here's this clown Booker tweeting a while ago about another great replacement theory, gentrification. Remember, here's Cory Booker. We don't talk nearly enough about the issue of gentrification. No, I promise you talk about it all the time, Cory. All across the country, low-income residents, primarily people of color, here we go with the race stuff again, are being pushed out of their communities. Really? How's that happening? So Cory Booker, just to be clear, you get a neighborhood where property values go up. People then buy homes from people of color. They don't kick them out. They buy homes or something. Or maybe rents go up because of economic growth. And all of a sudden, that's gentrification because people are being replaced. And then if people you don't like move out of the neighborhood, you accuse them of being racist because they moved out of a neighborhood that had people of color in it. Which one is it, man? Hat tip to a couple of internet sleuths who picked that out. That was not me who found that. I'd love to hat tip, but forgive me, I forgot who picked out that Cory Booker tweet. May have been Mike Davis or someone. What is it? Move into the neighborhood? Gentrification. Move out? You're definitely a racist. Folks, these people are full of shit. They want to replace you because they've written about it. They talk about it all the time. They're obsessed with the idea of replacing you. That's why we need the SAVE Act, and the filibuster is in the way. Now, a guy I have talked about quite a bit in the last few weeks, this is our third week back on the air, great to have you all, is our Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent. Scott Bessent's kind of like one of these quiet superstars of the administration who's done an amazing job. He's done a good job in the media as well of explaining these things. Now, he's a Treasury Secretary. However, he's good on other topics too. This is super important. Remember what we're talking about, tying together three things. The SAVE Act for voter ID, we got to get rid of the filibuster, how that's related to the filibuster, and how it stops the Democrats from their demographic destiny stuff, because if you get people in here and they need voter ID and to be citizens, you can have them here all you want. It's going to be really hard for them to vote. Those things are all tied together. So we got to get rid of the filibuster to get this thing passed. The Democrats will do it. This is Bessent brilliantly explaining getting rid of the filibuster now in terms of the prisoner's dilemma. You guys, P1s out there in the chat, P1s, you remember the prisoner's dilemma? We talk about this all the time. I'm fascinated with economics. Here's the prisoner's dilemma really quick. How is it that 15 guards can control a prison of 1,000 people? They're overwhelmed mathematically. The answer is it's a coordination problem. None of the prisoners want to be the first ones to try to bust out of the prison because they can't trust that the other guy's going to follow them. You get what I'm saying? You want to walk out. I remember when I was in high school, it was like, oh, we're going to stage a walkout. And everybody, yeah, me too. But no one wanted to be the first one to do it because you didn't know if the other guy was going to follow, and you didn't be the one want to be the one in detention. The prisoner's dilemma is a coordination problem. It's a game theory thing. He describes a filibuster in terms of this and busting it. This is just brilliant. Check this out.
Well, months ago, I had an editorial in the Wall Street Journal just saying we got to get rid of the filibuster. You know, the in game theory, the best known game is the prisoner's dilemma, and it's like who moves first. And if you have bad actors in the prisoner's dilemma, which the Democrats are, then you should move first. Like, you know, it's kind of kill or be killed, and clearly that Joe Manchin, Kristen Sinema, the Democrats basically had nuked the filibuster, but they refused to go along with it. And guess where they are? They're both sitting at home now, hopefully watching your show. And you know, I think the Republicans need to be smart about this. And I think that maybe the filibuster doesn't get withdrawn for everything, but there are things that we've got to do, you know, like voter integrity.
Yes. Thank you, Scott Bessent, for that brilliant explanation of why we need to move first and coordinate. We have to move first. The Democrats have already said they're going to bust the filibuster. There's no time for bullshit. How do I know that? Just like I know it the same way I know the Democrats believe in great replacement theory and demographic destiny, because they've said it. We always bring receipts. You want receipts? Played you the replacement theory ones. Here is a short compilation of the Democrats telling you they're going to bust the filibuster. There's no game theory necessary. They are going to do it. We need to do it first. It is a critical issue to save our election process right now. Check this out.
It's time we get rid of the filibuster.
I favor getting rid of the filibuster.
I've been very clear. I think we should eliminate the
I'll take a break
filibuster.
After abolish. Sorry, I had to get this freaking iPad's driving me crazy, folks. Did you guys cut that clip off early? Oh, I want more. I want that thing to roll a little bit longer. Can we for tomorrow include a bigger one? Because folks, they've been talking about this forever. It's not just one of them either. It's like a whole coterie of Democrats who just keep endlessly talking about busting the damn filibuster. There's no game theory necessary. Move first, because if we don't, they'll move. Don't let them beat you to the punch on this, please. You watch. They bust the filibuster. You're going to see statehood. You're going to see a whole bunch of cascade of horribles, wealth taxes, everything. All right, quick break. And then I want to get back to another presidential contender on the other side who is being so obvious about it at this point. We got into it a little bit when I was in my prior job. And how this guy is completely clueless and out of touch. I got the receipts to back it up. Quick break. Whether it's my time working in the government or now getting back behind the microphone, one thing that keeps me going is a good night's sleep. Always. You need a good night's sleep. Not only for mental clarity, but physical health. You see all the sleep research coming out. It's incredible. For that, I rely on Helix, H-E-L-I-X. Paul and I have had our Helix mattress for years. We're really happy we made the change. Helix matches you with the perfect mattress based on your personal preferences and sleep needs, which makes buying a mattress super easy. You can have confidence with your match with seamless returns and exchanges. Everybody in the crew here has a Helix mattress. The Happy with Helix guarantee offers you a risk-free, customer-first experience designed to ensure you're completely satisfied with your new mattress. My guys here in the studio have them. When I was up in D.C., one of the first things I did is get me a Helix mattress. It's going to be a lot of nights. You're going to need some sleep. Go to helixsleep.com/Dan for 27% off site-wide. The mattress is incredible. Go to helixsleep.com/Dan and get 27% off site-wide. Make sure you enter our show name after checkout so they know we sent you. helixsleep.com/Dan. helixsleep.com/Dan. Gotta love this show, man. I miss this. You have no idea how much I miss this. Hey, I've been asked many times, well, how can you protect your family without taking a life? You know about Byrna, B-Y-R-N-A. Big fan of Byrna products. They sent me a Byrna a long time ago. Justin has one. Justin, you like your Byrna? Yes, sir. Yes, sir is right. He's called sir. What is that? Oh, yeah, don't worry, Justin. Just throw it on the desk. No problem. Justin's like, I'm coming back for my coffee in a minute. That's are you feeling part of this? Byrna. Oh, is this yours? No, it's the office. Oh, very nice. Look at this. They even got one here. Thank you, Justin. It's good to know. Byrna's less than lethal launcher fires powerful kinetic and chemical rounds that can incapacitate an attacker for up to 30 minutes. That could give you the time to get away or call for help. Byrna's new compact launcher is about the size of a smartphone. It's easy to carry, easy to use. There's no background check required. The Byrna, B-Y-R-N-A-C-L, fires at up to 400 feet per second with serious stocking power and was designed to help with de-escalation, not devastation. Byrna is proudly American, assembled in Fort Wayne, Indiana. More than 750,000 Byrna launchers are already in the hands of law enforcement and responsible citizens like you and me who want protection without tragedy. Here it is right there. Bro, that's the CL too. If you believe in being prepared and you also believe in restraint, Byrna, B-Y-R-N-A, is for you. We love our Byrna products, quite a few of them. Go to Byrna.com, B-Y-R-N-A, and learn more, Byrna.com. All right. Thank you, Byrna. So, you know we got a presidential election coming up. The midterms are ahead, I get it. But ladies and gentlemen, in political times, 3 years is like 5 minutes, okay? You know that. I don't want to get out ahead of it. However, we do have some people clearly prepping. One of them is Gavin Newsom. And folks, as I keep saying, people are policy. Can you imagine an AOC or Gavin Newsom type? I can't hammer this home to you enough, having seen what I've seen in the massive power of the federal government to surveil you, weaponize it, take away your liberty. Thank God we did what we did to instill these guardrails. But ladies and gentlemen, guardrails can collapse when new people are in charge. There are no heroes in government, ever. If men were angels, Federalist 51, and we're not. Can you imagine this guy in charge? I got into it with this guy, the crime rates in California. He started going with this back and forth, trying to claim trying to claim credit for the crime drop over there. The crime had been dropping for a while, and then it dropped a whole lot more. But here's Gavin Newsom on this. By the way, hat tip to great Maze Moore on X. We love the clips over there. M-A-Z-E-M-O-O-R-E. Here's a clip of Gavin Newsom on the Latinx pseudo phenomenon. Check this out.
Not one person ever in my office has ever used the word Latinx.
So can we finally put that to bed?
Yeah,
we agree?
but where did that even?
No more Latinx, everybody.
Well, I just didn't even know where it came from. I'm like, what are people talking about? Impactful this has been on the Latinx community. Latinx community politicians that are banning not assault rifles, but the word Latinx. Nothing I dislike more than the politician that sits there and lies to you. And we all just sit there rolling our eyes going, give me a break.
Listen, this is not so much about Latinx, although put up that NBC tweet. Or Latinx, Latinx, like I don't even know what the hell the word is. It's so like foreign to anyone. You know, about half of Latinos say they never heard of the term Latinx, and only 4% of the Hispanic population uses the term to describe themselves. This is the Democrats always eager to put you in a box. Why? It's important you understand this. And Gavin Newsom, imagine this guy in charge of the FBI, the CIA, the DNI, the military. This guy is a threat to your freedom and liberty everywhere, and he is an absolute fraud, fake, and a phony, no different than the Clintons and AOC and all these other Democrats. Why do they want to put you in these Latinx, Latinx, whatever the hell you want to call it, boxes? They don't want the melting pot, the Democrats. They want you like a WWE Royal Rumble in a cage, everybody in there beating the crap out of each other. And in order to sick you against each other, they got to put you in a box to tell you how someone in another box hates you. Does that make sense? Andrew, did I describe that right? He's pretty new to the show. If he doesn't get it, he won't. They need you all fighting. Because the Democrats then come in when you're fighting and they say, look, we will solve these problems for you. The collectivist government, we're going to fix all this. Society can't fix its own problems. It's inherently adversarial. Everybody hates each other. The bourgeoisie, the proletariat, the union, non-union, black, white, Asian, Jew, Muslim, Catholic. Everybody hates each other. They got to put you in the box to make sure you know that the Republicans hate that box and they're going to come in and fix it. They're dividers. They have never been unifiers, the Democrats. That's why they constantly try the counter-argument against Republicans about Republicans being racist, because they know they're the racists. They talk about demographic destiny. They talk about black and Hispanic people like they're stupid. Oh, they can't get an ID. What about white people? Oh, they'll figure it out. Just not black people and women. You see the almost a counter-irritation argument? You know those like topical analgesics? You put them on your knees, you rub that pain cream on and it's hot. It's the counter-irritation principle. Your knee doesn't hurt because you're thinking about the heat in your knee now. That's what the Democrats do. They counter-irritate you with allegations you're a racist because they're the racists. The conservative movement has a pure and sensible policy on this. And Rubio, again, second appearance by Marco Rubio on the show today. Of course, not personal or live, although hopefully we'll get him one day. But here is Rubio at a different speech talking about, hey, immigration should make sense for the United States, correct? If we invite you into our house, our country, we don't expect you to come in here and break up all the freaking China and start committing crimes and drug running. How freaking irrational does it sound to have the other approach? Oh, come in and do whatever you want. We'll pay for it. Bullshit. Here's Rubio nailing it yet again. Check this out.
If you apply for a visa to enter the United States and be a student, and you tell us that the reason why you're coming to the United States is not just because you want to write op-eds, but because you want to participate in movements that are involved in doing things like vandalizing universities, harassing students, taking over buildings, creating a ruckus, we're not going to give you a visa. If you lie to us and get a visa and then enter the United States and with that visa participate in that sort of activity, we're going to take away your visa. And once you've lost your visa, you're no longer legally in the United States, and we have a right, like every country in the world has a right, to remove you from our country. So it's just that simple. I think it's crazy. I think it's stupid for any country in the world to welcome people into their country that are going to go to your universities as visitors. They're visitors. And say, I'm going to your universities to start a riot. I'm going to your universities to take over a library and harass people. I don't care what movement you're involved in. Why would any country in the world allow people to come and disrupt? Now, we gave you a visa to come and study and get a degree, not to become a social activist that tears up our university campuses. If you invite me into your home because you say, I want to come to your house for dinner, and I go to your house and I start putting mud on your couch and spray painting your kitchen, I bet you're going to kick me out. Well, we're going to do the same thing if you come into the United States as a visitor and create a ruckus for us. We don't want it. We don't want it in our country. Go back and do it in your country. But you're not going to do it in our country.
Reading the chat, fully tan, says Rubio wins. Lynn and Jeff, darn right. L. Souter, 100%. Marco. Zeke, my buddy, bless you, Marco. Yes, this guy has done, the Secretary of State has done an amazing job shining a light on freaking common sense. Folks, we have so much to run on, too. This first year has been incredible. Yes, there are ups and downs always. Listen, I get it. Government accountability matters, Republican or Democrat, MAGA, non-MAGA, conservative, libertarian, all of it. Accountability matters. It is the very bedrock of a representative democracy where people represent our ideas in the democratic process. This is a republic. It is not a direct democracy. So we have to trust and verify that the people in charge are representing our ideas that we voted for. But my gosh, this has been the golden year for politics. Did you see this tweet by Clay Travis? Clay's a good friend, a good man. It's a great radio show himself at noon. Clay Travis put this out. This tweet went freaking crazy. It was everywhere. People in the White House were retweeting this. Year one of Trump has been incredible. These are just facts, man. These are facts. They are hard-hitting, indisputable facts. You do with them what you want. He wrote, consider this, 4.4% GDP at the end of the year, 2.4% inflation, a record-high stock market, lowest murder rate since 1900, most secure border in history, and a 10% decline in government employees. He writes, honestly, it's extraordinary. You're damn freaking right, it's extraordinary. We have so much to run on. And what are the Democrats running on? They're going to have AOC bumbling and stumbling. The paradox of the illumination process of and she's like, she's a word salad and she makes stuff up too. She doesn't even know what she's talking about. And you got Newsom, Latinx, man, Latinx. This is who we're running against? Put that record up against that. They would be carving a Democrat president into freaking Mount Rushmore right now if that was the record of a Democrat president. You know it. Don't bullshit anyone. MSNOW would be, right now, if that was President John Smith and it was a Democrat, they would be getting the rock chiselers out right now. And here we go again with the red news, blue news, a segment we've been doing for 10 years. Why does this happen? Why is the media constantly trying to degrade President Trump's approval rating despite the golden year of politics in this country? Because they know they can't win based on truth. So they've got to bullshit and gaslight people, lie often, lie confidently, and isolate people from the truth, the four components of gaslighting. They don't have a choice. If they don't do it and they tell people the truth, President Trump's approval rating be 85%. Watch these two framings. This is just a hammer. Who put this tweet up? Or is it? At Chris Withans. He says, with the 12-month inflation rate, when it declined under Biden, it quotes, slowed. When the inflation rate declined under Trump to an even lower level in Biden, it's, quote, rising. He notes the very unbiased New York Times. I want you to see these two tweets. This is red news, blue news, if I've ever seen it. Here's the same New York Times, the bullshit blue news. Look at the date here. Biden's president, September 11, 2024. Top tweet. If you're listening on Apple and Spotify, I'll read it to you. Breaking news. U.S. inflation slowed to 2.5% in the year through August, keeping the Fed on track for a rate cut next week. Keep this up, guys. If you're watching on Rumble right now, you're probably laughing hysterically at the same New York Times with their framing bullshit. You see how they frame it? So when it's 2.5%, Biden's a hero because inflation, quote, slowed. Trump's inflation rate comes in lower at 2.4%. Same thing, breaking news. Consumer prices unexpectedly eased at the start of the year, rising 2.4% in the year through January. So it slowed to 2.5 under Biden, but rose to 2.4 under Trump. And notice the framing. Folks, this is the Apple News effect I told you about. Apple News, which got busted minimizing conservative content. Deliberately, intentionally, mistakenly, I don't know. Give them a chance to explain like anyone else. However, the bias is clear. Hat Tip Media Research Center for that report. That's a great point. Biden's inflation rate peaked at 9%, unheard of since Jimmy Carter. I was like 5 and 6 years old when that went down. And they were like, man, great job, Biden. You were 9. You got it down to 2.5. Trump gets it even lower to 2.4. Isn't even close to 9. And they got to crap all over him. Again, this is the Apple News effect. I'm going to give you the truth, though. Inflation at 2.4, we still got some room. I'd like to see inflation at 0. I don't even like their 2% target. But this is a big deal considering where we were. Here's a Fox News report, quick, by Peter Doocy on Biden versus Trump inflation. You can see the numbers yourself. Facts matter. Check this out.
Look at overall inflation for the first year of Trump versus Biden. Biden, overall inflation was up 4.3%, higher than Trump, just up 1.6%. Groceries under Biden in that time, up 3.8%. With Trump, up 1.3%. And then when it comes to gas, this is crazy. Biden, up 24.4%. With Trump, it is actually down 5.4%. That is where the biggest difference is.
Did the numbers even matter anymore? All right, accountability. I just told you that President Trump, I'm sure, is not sitting in his office taking any kind of victory lap. If you worked for him ever at any level, he is constantly demanding. His favorite question is, why not? Well, it's 2.4. Well, why can't we get it to 2.2? It's 2.2. Why can't we get it to 2? He does this all the time. That is how he manages. He never settles and sits on his buttons like, oh, that's good enough. But can we at least deal with the realm of facts and reality? Look at these cumulative price changes. Thank you for taking a screenshot of that. Look at that bar graph. It's not even close. Of course, Biden's in the blue, Trump in the red. 24.4% cumulative price change under Biden. Under Trump, minus 5.4. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, remember that? Good point, Guy. Remember when Biden blamed everybody but himself for inflation? He's like, Vladimir Putin definitely did it. Here's another thing happening now, too, in the golden year of politics. We have so much to run on against these idiots. Look at some of these. This is Jackie, forgive me, Jackie K. I don't want to say your name wrong, on Twitter. Under Biden, eggs plus 110%. Under Trump, minus 34%. Gas plus 32%. Trump, minus 8%. You could see on and on and on. All these prices going down under Trump, up under Biden. Not only that, real wages are finally growing. Real wages, in other words, your ability to spend money and buy things. Well, what does that mean, real? You have nominal wages and real wages. Nominal is what you get paid. If you get paid $1,000 a week and inflation's 2,000%, the $1,000 doesn't buy anything, so it doesn't really matter. You want real wages that actually buy stuff. You want that to go up. Look at this quick Fox report. Listen to this. Fox on real wage growth in the Trump administration. Another victory lap this year. Check this out.
Wages accounting for inflation rose 1.25% from January 2025 to January 2026. So people over the first year of the Trump administration made $1.25, 1.25% above inflation. So in the 4 years under President Biden, real wages fell 1.4%. So Americans turning the corner on making more to afford their lifestyle.
Don't worry, though. CNN knocking it out of the park again. Thank God for experts, folks. CNN. Experts. Look at this, the date of this article. June 26, 2024. Trump would make America's inflation crisis worth. 16 Nobel economists warn. Are these people ever right about anything? Ever? Would make the inflation crisis. I just gave you the numbers. Is CNN going to write an addendum to that piece? Go, these 16 Nobel economists are full of shit. One more quick piece, and I want to get to something. I want to put another Maze Moore clip up on Obama. So I want to tie it back to the beginning of the show, this demographic destiny thing, the SAVE Act, the filibuster. It's the most important thing we discussed today. It will change the country forever. But I want to get to this list. This is President Trump. Quick clip, wrapping up this economic segment. On another component of this, when was the last time you ever heard about the federal government shrinking? The answer is probably never in your lifetime ever. The number of government employees is now down 10%. That's not insignificant. That's a huge deal. The government is now leaner and meaner. Is there more work to be done? Yes, I told you, working for President Trump, his favorite question is, why not? We can always do better. Don't walk in there and take a victory lap. My job is over and done. It's never done. He doesn't see it that way. But here's President Trump saying, it's not just that we leaned out the federal government. A lot of these people in somewhat unproductive federal government jobs have now moved into the private sector, where in a free market economy where stuff is actually created and value is added. Check this out.
Jobs report's amazing in certain ways because we have tremendously fewer federal employees, way down. And now I could have left them and added to what we did, and we would have had almost 100% employment. I could have gotten a great kick out of the fact that we're 100% employed. But we got rid of tremendous numbers of federal workers, and they hated me for it. Now they love me because most of them have gotten jobs in the private sector for 2 and 3 times more money than they were being paid by the federal government.
Folks, listen, we had this experience too. I don't want to go into too much detail, but having been in there with a 38,000 plus workforce, and depending on what time period, a $10 to close to $12 billion budget, depending on how things work out, One of the first questions we asked during my time, Cash and I both at the Bureau, was describe to me what exactly you do. You would be stunned how, not just there, but in other places, there's a group of people who can't really describe very well what they do. So President Trump said, we're going to lean this place out. If we need to add and push here and subtract there, then we'll do it. But a lot of these people left to go work in the free market economy and add value. And he's not wrong. He can hire 500,000 new government employees with your tax dollars tomorrow and juice the employment numbers, but he chooses not to do it at his own political expense, knowing it's good for the society at large. I want to rewind back to the beginning of the show. I wanted to sandwich the show with this because this is so important. It is the single most important thing we discussed today. The SAVE Act, we need to pass it to save the country from cheating in elections and the Democrats' ridiculous demographic destiny plan they've advertised themselves. We need voter ID and strong voter integrity measures. This is a ground ball. Upwards of 80% of the U.S. population supports this. The Democrats have the racist card because that's the only thing they have. And it's bullshit. They're the ones talking about it. They're the ones who keep pushing this great replacement theory. Those three things are tied together. To stop us busting the filibuster and passing the SAVE Act, they're trying to throw the race card through this great replacement theory and demographic destiny, which is their thing. We just brought the receipts. Now, the Democrats don't want voter ID because clearly they want to cheat in elections. There is no sound, sensible reason you would not want voter integrity measures other than you wouldn't want to cheat. It's the same reason you wouldn't want a proctor for an exam. I don't want a proctor in this room for the exam. Why? Is the proctor bothering you? No. Well, I want to cheat. That's why. It's really simple. I bring this up because the Democrats are geniuses at the pain analgesic cream, like these Ben Gay type products, counter irritation policy. The way to distract you from the pain of your arthritic knee, if you're a Democrat, is to counter irritate and put another stimulus there so it'll distract you from the pain. This is what they do with voter integrity all the time. If they can't get the race card passed, they're going to say this is an attempt by the Republicans to steal elections, which is even more colossal bullshit than their great replacement thing. This is an attempt by Republicans to get voter integrity measures so nobody steals elections, Democrats or Republicans. I don't want to see unfair elections that benefit either party.
When you try to sow the...
Got a little ahead of yourself there. He's got a little itchy trigger finger going on with the clip today. That's all right. This is where they're going to go next. The stolen election bullshit. They have been talking about this forever. This is a side-by-side hat tip Mays Moore of Obama. They're going to say this is the voter integrity measures are an attempt to steal elections. And they're going to play the same game they played with the Crossfire Hurricane, Russia hoax, the Russians and Donald Trump stole the election in 2016. These people are totally full of shit, but this is next in the pipeline. It's actually happening right now. But if the race card fails, they're going to go to this. Check this out.
When you try to sow the seeds of doubt in people's minds about the legitimacy of our elections, that undermines our democracy. No, I want everybody to pay attention here. That is dangerous. You're doing the work of our adversaries for them. Because our democracy depends on people knowing that their vote matters. That those who occupy the seats of power were chosen by the people.
Every intelligence agency in the federal government arrived at a consensus that the Russians had hacked the DNC, and the information that was now being released was as a consequence of a decision by Russian intelligence and Russian officials at the highest levels. So what the CIA is now assessing, which was it was done purposefully to tilt the election in the direction of a particular candidate, shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, and in fact isn't a surprise to anybody. This was helping the Trump campaign, and it was hurting the Hillary campaign.
You see what they do here? Listen, I'm talking to potential persuadable Democrats out there who are loosely attached to the party. Hardcore liberals like AOC and Newsom types and followers are like Bernie bros. Like, I get it. Like, this is probably a waste of everybody's time. But if you're a persuadable Democrat who maybe found my show for the first time, I'm talking to you. I am not telling you ever, listen to me, this is an axiomatic truth that we should have stapled on the wall in the studio, that Republicans are the solution to all of your problems. You're not telling me that? No, I'm not. But Dan, you're a registered Republican. Well, I'm a conservative, but I do vote Republican. I don't vote for Democrats. But I am not telling you Republicans are the solution to all your problems. There are a multitude of problems within our own party we've got to clean up. I think you've seen them over the course of the weekend. We addressed some of it at the beginning of the show, where people are just within the party, the Bezmenov theory, turning the political guns on each other within the party for their own political advantage. I get it. We played the whole Yuri Bezmenov thing. However, the cause of most of your problems is almost all of the time some bullshit Democrat policy on crime, the border, the economy. So given that choice, it's clear to me in an imperfect world where I'm voting every single time, and that's with the GOP side of the aisle. I play these things for persuadable Democrats out there because I know it makes a difference. Folks, you may say you're wasting your time. I promise you I'm not. We get a lot of emails during the show. People reach out all the time. Found your show, friend recommended it. Some of them like, I thought you were an asshole. And then I'm fine, whatever. But then I listen for a couple weeks and you got a point. Democrats keep talking about Republicans stealing elections, and yet in 2016, when they lost the election fair and square, all the Democrats could talk about was how the election was stolen. I thought you don't want to talk about stealing elections. That was Obama just a couple months apart in that Maze Moore clip. I'm telling you that stealing elections, I don't care if you steal it for a Democrat or Republican, anyone else, destroys faith in institutions, and the United States cannot move forward with a collective set of principles and bedrocks and a lodestar we all believe in if no one trusts the institution to elect the representatives in a representative democracy. The Democrats don't give a shit about any of that. I'm going to say again, I'm going to give you this appeal. I know it's controversial, and I know a lot of lawmakers don't want to hear it. But folks, it's time to throw the filibuster out. The Democrats started this fire. They have no principles whatsoever. They're going to tell you now how we need the filibuster because they're not in charge. The second they get in power, they don't give a shit. We'll play 1,000 side-by-sides. They will turn on it. They won't even care. They'll be like, yeah, I changed my mind. That's it. They are going to bust this thing. Dump the filibuster, or as a compromise, make them speak and make a speaking filibuster mandatory. So they got to sit down there and argue their way out of voter ID, which they can't. At least do that, because we need this SAVE Act passed. We won't have a country left. It is critically important. Hey, thanks for tuning in on this President's Day. Really appreciate it. Make sure you check out Haley coming up right after this show, rumble.com/Haley. You can always check out Vince at 8 a.m. as well, Vince Colon-Ace, rumble.com/Vince. Also, if you want your news every day in your box, dump the Drudge Report. You've seen they've gone crazy. Every single headline is some lunatic TDS thing. Go to BonginoReport.com. You can check out the news. And make sure you tune in every day for us live at rumble.com/Bongino. It's free. Go to the website, rumble.com/Bongino. Click subscribe. We added another 10,000 subscribers in the last couple of weeks, so we really appreciate it. It's absolutely free. And then you can get a notification when we go live every day at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. You can watch the show on demand, rumble.com/Bongino, and give us a follow on Apple and Spotify as well. We really appreciate it. I will see you back here tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Hey there, I'm Vince.
I'm Haley Carania,
Host of Vince.
Host of Scrolling with Haley.
You can always catch my